Hey, good morning. So I tried to go live on Instagram and, like I normally do, I go live on Instagram and then I cross post over to Facebook, but it just wouldn't go live on Instagram. So I guess that means I was meant to go live on Facebook. So excuse my little scratchiness, a little bit of some allergies from the change of the weather here in Dallas. But I'm here and I want to share a quick word with you before I jump online and work out with my fit friends, my fit mama tribe. We're going to jump on Zoom. If you don't know what Zoom is, it's like a conference call kind of thing. And instead of using it just to meet for, sit down meetings and, talk face to face, we use it for accountability to work out together. So I'm about to do that in the next 7 minutes. And in that time, I wanted to share with you a little bit from this book right here, Take the Day Off, and it's by my Pastor Robert Morris. And I love this because I'm just going to share very simply with you what this chapter in particular. Don't tell him, but I skipped ahead because I'm actually in the middle of reading other books, but I felt like I was supposed to pick this one up this morning. I felt like Holy Spirit was like, you need to pick this book up. Take the day off. So I was like, okay, Lord, sure. So I just looked through the table of contents. I was like, which one of these do you want me to talk from today, Lord? Which one do you have a message for me that I can first receive for myself and then share? And he showed me the Treat Yourself in chapter 5. And I thought that I knew what this was going to be about, but actually those first few words, I was actually kind of surprised. So I thought that this was so funny because I'm thinking I'm going to open the book and to the chapter Treat Yourself, and he's going to be telling me about. It's important I drink this before my actual workout time. After I work out, I got to start cooking Thanksgiving dinner, by the way, but the turkey's already on. Thank you, hubby. So, chapter 5, Treat Yourself. And I thought I was going to open this up and he was going to be saying, like, why it's so, important for you to treat yourself. But, maybe he's going to talk about some self-care, some self-love things, some fun things, And I think he is. I think later, a few pages later, he starts to talk about things you can do, like, to treat yourself, but with some physical things. But the first thing that I noticed actually is what got me. So he points out that something that I didn't know, I think I knew, but I hadn't thought about in a while. And he says, right there, have you ever noticed that the Jewish Sabbath begins at sundown? In fact, God has always reckoned the day to begin with the evening. Right there in the beginning of the creation account in Genesis 1:3, the word says, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Isn't that cool? So I was like, he says, we think our day begins at sunrise, but God says it begins at sunset. And then he goes on to say, this is especially true. This is especially true concerning the Sabbath in observant Jewish households around the world. Friday afternoon is a busy time of preparation for the rapidly approaching 24 hours of Sabbath inactivity. What's inactivity? I think in our culture now, nowadays, we're kind of like, what's inactivity? What's a day of doing nothing and just resting? What is that, right? So, he says that will begin with the setting of the sun. So meals are prepared in advance. Chores are preemptively attended to. Everything is set in order because the family knows that the setting of the sun brings a celebratory meal and then rest. In fact, before the age of electric lighting in homes, most people simply went to bed shortly after it got dark. That's right. The Sabbath begins with nourishment and then sleep. Do you see what God is trying to say about the Sabbath through this pattern? When you are asleep, you aren't striving, you aren't planning, managing, creating, building, or fixing. You aren't in control of anything. You are most vulnerable when you're sleeping. In other words, you have to trust God completely when you sleep. So, the Sabbath is a step of faith. I love that. So I know we're in the day of Thanksgiving, and I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, but I want to use this as, I feel like Holy Spirit is saying that I can take this as an invitation, an opportunity, and share this with you as we can see today as an opportunity for Sabbath tomorrow. What? Okay, starting tonight though. Because if you think about it, because he talks about, hey, they would get together, they would have a celebratory feast, right? Just like Thanksgiving. Think about it. Everyone's hustling and bustling. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to jump into the kitchen. We're going to cook some food, make a grand old feast, and then we're going to eat. We're going to celebrate. We're going to give some thanks. We're going to think about how blessed we are. We're going to, come together. And after that, though, going into this evening, our Sabbath can begin, our day of rest, our day off. If we wanted to, and he goes on to talk about, that sleep thing. If you, do you ever like sleep in the middle of the night and you're sleeping and like in the middle of the night, you like wake up and you're wrestling and you just can't go back to sleep. And it's like, Lord, in those moments when that happens to me, it doesn't happen to me often. But if it does, usually it's because something is bothering me. I'm wrestling with something. And so I'll be like, okay, Lord, I'm going to use this opportunity to pray. I'm going to open my spirit and my mind to you. I'm going to stop, because my mind will immediately start wrestling with what's going on. What do I need to do? What's something that I need to be worrying about? And it's me trying to solve my own problems. But the idea of this Sabbath, of this day of rest, and him taking care of us is like David talks about in Proverbs, which is also in here. So I'll tell you the scriptures, Proverbs 3:24-26. But he talks about that peace of like a weaned child. He says, I've calmed and quieted myself like a weaned child, who no longer cries for his mother's milk. Yes, like a weaned child is my soul within me. And that's where I think he is saying, okay, we can use this opportunity, this day, as an invitation to step into that quieted, calmed soul and stop trying. I think sometimes we go into holidays and it amplifies some of the tensions in relationships, maybe in the family, or it creates an opportunity for us to be super reflective of ourselves and other people's personalities. And we can go into this holiday and get all worked up about it and stay worried about it and strive to think, how can I fix it? What can I do? Maybe if I act this way or say it this way or do this thing or make sure that so-and-so hears me say this, then all the problems will be solved. But God is saying, hey, I want to give you a sweet rest. I want you to rely on me, like knowing, just like that weaned child knows, like, I don't have to panic. My next meal is still going to come. He's saying, I want you to trust me with your life. I want you to trust me with those relationships. I want you to trust me with that thing that you're worried about, that is waking you up in the middle of the night, that you could spend the next several days and it could preoccupy your mind and it could keep you in a state of havoc and unrest. Or you could choose to rely on me. You could choose to hand it over to me and give those cares over to me and fully enjoy the Sabbath starting tonight, because remember, it actually begins in the night. So we could have our feast, have a purposeful celebration. And instead of allowing ourselves to get all worked up and stay worked up and try to do things in our own power, like Mary and Martha, right? We can learn from that scenario, and we can say, okay, I'm going to choose the most important, the most principal thing. I'm going to focus on my Jesus. I'm going to let him guide my heart. I'm going to stay in love with him as I go throughout my day, and I'm going to fully rely on my ever-providing Father and know that he is working everything out. And maybe it won't look perfect right now. Maybe it won't look perfect this year around the Thanksgiving table. Maybe you're worried about what the fallout is going to be the day after, but I don't have to. I can just rely on him. I can fully rest in him, and he's going to work everything out. So I love you, and I hope that you enjoy your Thanksgiving today with your family. I'm going to go sweat with my sisters now and hurry up and chuck this down so I'm ready to work out. I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.